Hello, and welcome back to the third and final part. We just need to get through the response phase now in our planning cycle. So, a bad thing has happened at this point. Uh, Ideally, when the bad thing happens, all you do is say, invoke the response plan. Everybody knows their job. Go. It should go like clockwork, and yet it never does. So, some things in your response plan, when you figure this out ahead of time, uh, you're going to go through something like these stages. First, you have to know that you're under attack. Maybe it's a denial of service attack. Then you have to stop it. So that's kind of the triage, make the bleeding stop, and then repair the damage. And then the last step is to try to assign blame and figure out what hole in your network security got taken advantage of, where was the vulnerability, and if you can track down who the attacker was, more power to you. But obviously, they still haven't figured out where. I don't think they figured out who attacked Target recently. I know that Target was meeting with Congress today to, there's a hearing committee to, do a fact-finding investigation. Anyway, it's very hard to figure out exactly where the attack comes from. I think the best you can do is, try to prevent it from ever happening again. And we'll step through an example in class. Uh, but here's the thing. Again, security is not an IT problem. It's a business problem. So if somebody got in that wasn't supposed to, or you leaked out information, somebody got access to the network they shouldn't have, it's not a networking problem at that point. It's a business problem. So again, the business people need to have a seat at the table, not just IT, in figuring out the proper way to respond to an incident. For one thing, you do not want your IT person being the one talking to the press, much less making decisions about what action to take. This is where your incident response team should have somebody, probably your firm's attorney should be on this team, as well as an executive, several executives, as well as the head of IT and the head of network security, somebody from the financial side of the business, somebody from PR, to figure out how you're going to release this information to the public. The lawyer's there to figure out what the liability is. The executives are there to make decisions, and IT is there to make a recommendation. Here's what we found out, and to be able to explain it in business terms to business people. That's the skill. If you go around slinging, DDoS at people, they're not going to understand what you're talking about. So you have to be able to explain this in business language. I think that's so important. When something happens, when a bad thing happens, these are all wet servers, by the way. They've been drowned or been sitting underwater for a couple of weeks, which is a bad thing for servers. The book does not make a distinction that I like to make, just based on my own experience. To me, there's a difference between disaster recovery and business continuity. They get blurred a lot, but here's the distinction I want to make. Disaster recovery is what you do after a disaster, like a natural disaster, whether it's a flood, a fire, a hurricane, a tornado, a swarm of bees, a plague of locusts, whatever the disaster is. It's something that you could never plan for, other than just having a plan that the corporate building is unavailable for whatever reason. Whether a tornado's hit it or a hurricane, you don't have to plan for every single eventuality. Just come up with a plan. The corporate office isn't available, or network connectivity is down throughout the company for whatever reason. You don't have to specify. That's a big deal. That's where you get into having hot, warm, cold backup sites. So a duplicate data center that you can fail over to in the event of an emergency. But business continuity to me is more things that you can plan for. The internet might be out for 30 minutes, or we might lose power because tree limb falls on a power line. We're without power for a while, not for days, but maybe an hour or two, or any number of kind of networking problems. Like the other day when wireless. Remember when the SIUE CIO sent out that message that wireless was having trouble on campus? Was that a disaster? No. Did she invoke any kind of disaster recovery plan? No. She said, we're working on it. We'll get it fixed as soon as possible. That's just business continuity. Now, is there a business continuity plan? Well, you should have one. A lot of people in the 342 class didn't seem to realize that you could take a laptop and plug it in. You know, if wireless isn't working, just plug in, get an Ethernet cable, plug it into the network somewhere, and and now all of a sudden you've got a faster and more secure connection. Funny how that works. And you have business continuity plans at home all the time, things that you do when the internet goes out. Now, if you're a doctor's office, this is what I did in several doctor's offices. They had a business continuity plan. You know, if the internet's offline for 5 minutes, that's still a disruption because they can't download their health records. They can't download the schedule. So part of their business continuity plan was every morning the first nurse that comes in to turn on the lights prints off the schedule so that everybody has a copy of the schedule just in case. And then they switch over to paper charts, and then they input the data later. So they've got a business continuity plan. But to me, that's not a disaster recovery plan. It's just a difference in scope, I would say. And finally, practice, practice, practice. It's one thing to have a disaster recovery plan or to have this how we're going to respond to a network breach plan. But if you don't practice it, if you don't rehearse it, you're still going to panic, you know, when the thing happens. That's the nice thing about practicing something. And it costs time, it costs money to do this, to get everybody involved. But if people did more planning, there'd be fewer and fewer emergencies, I promise you. So if you get into any kind of networking career, and your boss is not doing rehearsals on at least a yearly basis, you know, ask them why. Okay, I think that's it for network security. I've got a few more slides that I want to talk about, but I really want to go through these in class. So we'll have some time to discuss this in class, talk about some more scary stuff with hacking, and talk about reviewing for the exam. So I hope you all stay very safe in the cold weather, and I will see you on Thursday. Thanks.